morning and welcome to World Talks, live here on TVP World. My name is Ashim Kumar. President Trump has been in the news a great deal recently for all the wrong reasons. An assassination attempt was made on his life at a rally in Pennsylvania. Fortunately, the former president survived with only a minor wound to his ear. Many commentators suggest that this event, combined with Trump's defiance during his removal from the stage, has all but sealed his success at the November presidential election. This may be true, especially considering questions being raised, even in the Democratic Party and the media, on President Biden's cognitive abilities. Also, Viktor Orban has announced that should Trump be re-elected, he will demand peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. How reliable is this information? Well, to explore these points, these items, we are joined by Wojciech Przybylski. He's Editor-in-Chief at Visegrad Insight. Welcome, Wojciech, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you for having me.
I mean, it's been a full few days, hasn't it? I mean, certainly in terms of the attempted assassination attempt and the response of various parties around the world. Now, I want to start with Viktor Orban and what he said about Trump demanding peace talks between Russia and Ukraine. Now, how much of this is simply rhetoric made up by Viktor Orban? How much is, word of mouth and or a direct quote? We're not really sure. Do you think that this is something that Trump would impose if he were elected?
Mr. Trump has been known as a person who wants to make deals, and also a person who is rather unpredictable even to his closest entourage. From a number of sources that are close to him, former members of his staff, people who write now concepts, papers on defense security policy, we know that the general mood in the camp is to move away from the conflict in Europe and to focus and concentrate full resource on the Southeast China. Hence, it is likely that there would be pressure applied also from within the camp of Trump to seek for a quick solution on potential exit of U.S. support to Ukraine. But it is not excluded also that this would be the other way around. Trump presidency in the past years has brought only more investment to Central Eastern Europe and to Ukraine defense capabilities that were utilized during Biden's presidency, because army, military strategy is one thing and the political declaration and word of mouth is another. Now, Viktor Orban, who comes to this picture, he is a mastermind of PR, is essentially, to me, more of a clown than real politician, as he tours the world claiming he's representing the European Union, that he does not represent. He does not have
peace talks.
He talks of peace talks between the great powers as one of the smallest nations in Europe, fully dependent on those great powers, including Russia, including China, but also including US or European trade or security guarantees he enjoys. So that is more of a show that we should not pay so much attention to, and we should rather focus on the big players who dominate and dictate the future events.
Absolutely. So pay less attention to Orban and more attention to what Trump actually does rather than what he says. Now, what's your view on what many commentators are saying, that Trump's response during and after the shooting has basically confirmed that he's going to win in a landslide in November? What do you think?
Well, the powerful images and the emotions generated this weekend, they're going to stay, they're going to fuel the campaign, and it's at the end also about money. We need to look where the funders, where supporters of both campaigns go, and the money are now waiting to be released to give Biden potential re-election campaign a boost and advantage over Trump. or whether more money will go to Trump's campaign. Because money win that kind of game. You need to translate these images into powerful electoral machine, the number of supports people will bet on. Currently, we have more of an equal situation with less private donors and more of a funds generated by Mr. Trump himself in a campaign, but that balance might be shifting. So let's look into the end of July, this final decision of President Biden, what to do about November elections, and he claims he's in the game. If we track the number of slips of tongue of both candidates, that would be fair to say they have equal. Both gentlemen in their later years have made a number of really silly mistakes. Now the focus is on Mr. Biden, but if electorate really will decide based on the of whether the pronunciation or spelling mistakes were the reason to change the president, I don't know. I remember President George W. Bush, who was famous for taking a lot of heat for mistaking a number of people, world leaders, all of the time. But the thing is that it doesn't matter really for the domestic public. What matters is public emotion about the sense of security and the prospects of middle class, essentially, which is shrinking, but still the dream of middle class prevails in the United States. And despite great economic numbers, we have sociological divide, but not only divide, people feel they're not in their best time, despite the record high employment now growing and all the economic performance indicators suggesting that life for Americans will be only better. So it's really a very interesting game for
lots of moving parts.
Yes.
Lots of let's start with the war chest, if I can call it that. Now Trump has shown a huge uptick in private donations. So, for example, to pay his legal fees, I believe the amount raised was $150 million. After this some are calling iconic photograph of him, with his fist in the air and the American flag, do you think he'll have any problems raising money for his electoral campaign?
No, I think both camps have now a great potential of getting more money. Trump initiated and had impulses each time he's getting hit by a bullet or a decision by the jury. He received some anonymous support or big donor support. People, individuals usually who are powerful, potent and financially resourceful, who wish to keep in the game. Now, for Mr. Biden, the trouble is that this uncertainty, whether there will be another Democratic candidate, which was the uncertainty until this weekend, kept some donors at bay, and they have not donated enough money. So I think both camps have still a lot to potential to raise money. We'll see, I think, by September what the amounts are and how they will define the final outcome.
Right, okay, I want to come to Biden in a second, but one other question on Trump. I mean, he's just announced J.D. Vance to be on the ticket with him as vice president. What do you think of that selection?
That is a remarkable choice. Mr. Vance has been known first as a Trump critic, and he has been never Trump supporter, as self-declared. Then he took a position in the ideological camp of MAGA, Make America Great Again, and he fully endorsed Trump, apparently building up and leveraging his initial skepticism and transforming into full support based on transactional approach. Mr. Trump is known to be of liking that kind of approach and deal-making, transactionalist. So I can imagine they have a deal, they have had a deal, and the deal is good enough for both in terms of Mr. Vance maybe even putting more cash or generating some more investors' interest in fundraising for Trump. And Mr. Trump may offer him that should he step down at some point for whatever reasons, Mr. Vance has a big career ahead of him.
Right. So I'd like to bring that conversation towards the likely behaviour, likely policy towards Central Eastern Europe. I'm talking hypothetically, obviously, but imagine a Trump Vance government in the United States. Do you think Vance is going to influence Trump's strategy in Central Eastern Europe? Ukraine in particular, of course.
I think that whatever money will be here for Americans and whatever money we already are putting on the table is guaranteeing Republican interests. Poland currently spends so much. I mean, this is the biggest purchaser of U.S. military industry for the past year. We have a number of other Central Eastern European countries that are willing and committing more. The trouble starts with Western Europe, the countries that have not even reached the pledged amount of 2% GDP on military spending, let alone purchases in the US. I don't think it's even about spending on US military equipment, but Europe is seen by the Republicans as not treating itself seriously, and it's not willing so far to commit to the real deal, which is a full defense spending, such as European bonds, such as Germany opposition to funding European defense, and making Europe really whole and integrated by common defense bonds, for instance, that would enable both military buildup in the present-day situation, but a long-term buildup of European industry and prosperity that comes with it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, what a lot of people don't realise, of course, is that the money is actually going to be spent within country, a large proportion of it, and of course that helps the economies of those countries. And Poland is leading the way. You know, they're spending 4% of GDP on defence, and plan on doing it, taking it up to 5%. Sadly, so much more to talk about, but sadly we have to end it here. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with our audience.
Thank you very much.
That was Wojciech Przybylski, Editor-in-Chief of Visegrad Insight. Thank you for joining us. Have a good day.